All right, we are very nearly done with our series on making remote work work. You are currently on the penultimate episode. We have covered two of the three pillars, practicality and legality, and we are currently looking at productivity. We have dealt with managing work, and now we are looking at managing the human, which is why we looked at giving feedback in our last video, because it is arguably the most important part of your job to monitor employee well-being. Happy and balanced employees are engaged and productive employees. And engaged and productive employees are the ones that take ownership of work, treat your clients as though they are their clients, and do a great job. So it is important to manage their happiness as well as their workload. Now, part of managing a team's well-being is still linked to managing workload, because the onus is on you as their manager to try to give them a workload that pushes them to perform without causing them to burn out. This is not an easy task, and it's not one to take lightly. Managing the person behind the work is not easy for accountants. Generally speaking, and I know it's a generalization, most accountants are task focused. Very few of us are good with people. So if you have found yourself in management because you are good at accounting, you might be finding the people aspect of the job difficult and possibly even uncomfortable for you. It is still part of the job. So the best thing you can do is to be honest with yourself regarding your limitations. If you know you are not the most tactful and empathetic of people, go enlist empathetic team members to help you in the more emotional areas of management. If you don't think you know how to deal with different personalities, go learn about the personality profiles. Go buy books on leadership and management and personalities, and make a conscious effort to think of your staff as people instead of resources, and learn. The more you learn, the easier it is going to be. And I do want to point out that you do not need to be friends with your employees. In fact, you probably shouldn't be friends, because that level of friendship actually causes some more difficulties for you when it comes to the harder parts of management. So you don't need to be friends. You don't even have to like them, because we can work with people we don't like. And you're not going to be able to avoid conflict, because when more than one person is grouped together for a period of time, conflict is inevitable. But you can avoid combat. And you can train yourself to see the human being above and before the work. And it all stems from building connection. Now, there are 3 steps to building connection. It's understanding, communication, and interaction. So we're going to look at all 3 separately in this video. Starting with understanding. Connection happens when people understand each other and when they feel understood, heard, and supported. The problem is that we think we understand people, or that they understand us, and we're wrong, because we're all different. We are all unique individual personalities coming from different backgrounds, and we base our reactions on completely different life experiences, which means we tend to decipher other people's actions and words through our own. If we tend to laugh uproariously at things we find funny, then someone who just smiles makes us think they didn't get the joke. It's very easy to misunderstand each other and to take offense in situations in which offense was never intended. So, as a manager, it is your job to try and understand the personalities in your care. Firstly, so you can manage them. Secondly, so you can bring out the best in them. And thirdly, so you can prevent conflicts from becoming a problem. The starting point is to understand yourself. It is worth going for a personality profile test, even if it's one of those free ones on the internet, to learn more about who you are. You want to know how you think, and you want to know what situations make you comfortable and uncomfortable. If you know your own strengths and weaknesses and you truly understand them, you can work around them for the best results. But also, if you're learning about personality profiles to understand yourself, it helps you understand the people around you as well. Then you learn how the different personality profiles interact, and that will help you prevent conflicts between them. It's also worth learning about generational differences. Please don't think that this is not a thing. The different generations definitely interact differently with each other. So it is worth learning how a Gen Z takes praise as opposed to how a boomer gives praise. It is important to understand those differences. We go a bit deeper into this in our book, the remote management book. So do grab that if you haven't already. But honestly, the simplest way to understand your employees is to take a genuine interest in them. Instead of getting upset about the way they approached a job, ask them to explain their reasoning. Ask them why they did it that way. Instead of complaining that they don't try to get on with their colleagues, ask them if they feel part of the team. Ask your team members about themselves and their way of thinking, and listen to their answers. Just the simple act of asking and listening with genuine interest will help you more than you even realize. Clear, transparent, and open communication solves problems long before they arise. The more detailed and clear you can make your explanations, the less likely they are to misinterpret what you want or miss a step. So don't skimp on communication. Be especially clear on outcomes and deadlines and what you consider to be a good job. You are going to be measuring their performance against these three things. So you need to make very sure that they've understood what you require for these three things. What are the markers and how can they measure up against them? Remember, we discussed in previous videos that you cannot assume that the way your employees do things will be the same as the way you do. If you missed that video, go have a look for it. It's part of the 2 biggest hiring mistakes that accounting firms make. But in the same way that we can't assume an employee will work the same way that we do, you can't assume that they measure outcomes the way you do. Their previous firm could have had much lower standards than you do. They might not be used to the conditions that you consider normal. So make sure they understand what is expected of them, not just in terms of the work that needs to be done, but how it should be done, when it should be finished, and the standard you are expecting to receive. And if you want to build connection and relationship with your team, you need to be prepared to share yourself with them first. Please, I'm not saying you have to share personal details of your life. You do not have to do that. If you're a private person, you can remain a private person. But when you share a part of yourself with your team, when you're open and honest in your communication, if you make a joke or laugh at the jokes that they make, it makes it a lot easier for you to get on with them because you've given them an understanding of who you are, how you think, and how you work. The more open and honest you are with your team, the more open and honest they are with you. Foster a culture of openness and honesty, a culture of taking ownership and responsibility. Lead from the front. You cannot talk about collaboration if you never ask for help. You can't make a big noise about taking ownership of mistakes if when someone actually makes a mistake, your reaction is to pile on them like a ton of bricks and snatch the work away and then fix it yourself. You set the tone of the culture that you want in your company. So remember that communication is not just spoken, it is acted out. as well. When you see each other as human beings and we recognize that we each have our own struggles, we each have our own weaknesses, it becomes so much easier to forgive each other for silly little offenses and to face real conflicts and resolve them. The more you and your team can connect on a human level, the better you will function as a business and as a team. So it is worth fostering open communication as a team. And then lastly, interaction. You cannot manage human beings through emails and checklists and apps and software all by itself. You have to interact with them in person as well. Now, obviously, that's much harder to do with remote workers. You can't actually do in person, which means that you need to plan your interactions. So try to have at least one social call per month, even if it's via a virtual meeting platform because they're in another country and they can't come into the office. At least once per month, chat about non-work items and learn who your team members are as people. This can be a group call to take the pressure off the two of you from being friendly with each other. You can make it a work-wide event, but you probably need to be the one leading the interactions, especially in the beginning. As your staff begin to relax and become more open with each other, it will be automatic. In the beginning, you might have to start the conversations. And again, you do not have to be friends, but the more you understand each other, the more you know about each other's lives in terms of understanding that Susan is a single mom and has to be home at 5 because she has to fetch her kids, not because she's not dedicated to a project, makes a big difference to working together. So the more you have these social interactions, the more genuine your interest in them, the more likely they are to open up to you and open up to each other. You don't have to do this as a group. You don't have to do it as a virtual call. Sometimes a simple WhatsApp, just checking in that they're okay, is enough. But you want to show them that you don't just see them as work-producing automatons. You see them as people. Bear in mind as well, please, that your remote team member is missing out on a huge amount of everyday social interaction with the rest of their team members. Your remote worker does not get to have casual coffee chats or smoke breaks or anything along those lines with their colleagues. They don't go have drinks at the pub down the road. And if you've gone with a complete offshoring option, the chances are extremely high that they are never able to attend the in-person events such as Christmas parties or team building trips. This makes it much, much harder for them to build a connection with their team and with you. So it is up to you to actively look for ways that can help them to interact with the team and to feel connected to their team members. Please also remember that although a personal connection with you is good for your team members, connection between each other is more important. You are the boss, so they need to get on with you, but they also have to do what you say, and they need to have a level of respect for you and your designation that they don't have to have for their colleagues. This does naturally result in an us and them situation in the workplace where you may end up feeling slightly isolated from the rest of your team. It's not pleasant for you as the boss, but it's actually rather important in building team rapport. So my suggestion to you as the boss or the manager is to surround yourself with other managers, other business owners, to build friendships and your own support group with your peers so that you have a space where you feel supported and understood. And you can give your team members the freedom to build a bond without you, or a different bond between themselves to the one that they have with you, and you can build that support bond with other business owners. It's important to note at this point that I'm not teaching you all about understanding and communication and interaction for purely altruistic purposes. I'm not banging on and on about caring for your employees because I want you to be a better person. This is about being a good manager and getting results from your team. Science tells us that happy people are productive people. So if you take the time to connect with your staff and to connect them to each other, you will build a better company and a team that outperforms your wildest dreams. You have the side benefit of being a good person too. Okay, we are basically done in our series on making remote work. I have one more video to you and for you, and I'm going to be speaking about my favorite topic, burnout. So join me in our last video to find out how you can prevent burnout for yourself and your team members.